Hello and welcome to week 3 of my Beachcombing Blanket crochet along. I'm Eleonora, the designer behind Coastal Crochet, and all the details about this blanket can be found over on my blog, Coastal Crochet, and the links are in the description below. So this tutorial is to accompany week 3 of the blanket, and it's not to replace the written pattern, so do make sure that you have the written pattern next to you as we work through this week. And this week is inspired by fishing nets and buoys and the occasional life ring that might get washed up onto the shore. So lots of inspiration from man-made beachcombing finds in this square. And remember, I use UK crochet terminology. I do try to translate as we go along, but it's important to remember that I do work in UK terminology. I've broken the tutorials down into smaller segments, so we'll start with the first few rounds and then there are separate tutorials for the following rounds. And I'll show you how to do it. So what you see here is the end of round 1, and it starts just like we did with our first square in week 1, where we make 4 chain, slip stitch to the first chain to form into a ring, make 3 chain, which counts as your first stitch, your first treble or US double crochet stitch, and then 11 treble US double crochet into the ring. And that's the end of round 1. We slip stitch to the top of the first 3 chain to join. So this is round 1, and we move on to round 2. And if you look at the pattern, it says to join yarn G to any stitch. So just insert your hook into any stitch as normal and join with yarn G. And then if you look at the pattern, it tells us to make 3 chain. And again, this counts as our first stitch of the round, our first treble or US double crochet stitch. And then we do 1 treble US double crochet into the same stitch at the base of the 3 chain. So there you can see the stitch where the 3 chains coming out of. You work a treble US double crochet into that same stitch. And then if you look at the pattern, this is a very simple round. It's just 2 treble or US double crochet in each stitch to end. So in each of the stitches, simply work 2 treble stitches or 2 US double crochet stitches. And do that all the way to the end. So I'm just at the end of round 2, and I've worked my 2 treble US double crochet into each stitch around, and then we slip stitch to the top of the first 3 chain to join into a ring, going under both strands to give the neatest possible finish. Always a bit fiddly to try and go under 2, but there we go. And then we fasten off, and it's a really good idea to count your stitches at the end of a round. So we should have 24 stitches going all the way around, including that beginning 3 chain at the end of round 2, and then you know that you're good to go on to the next round. So we're on to round 3, and it tells us to join with yarn C into any stitch. So insert your hook into any stitch and join with yarn C. And then if you look at the pattern, it tells us to make 3 chain. 1, 2, 3, and this 3 chain counts as 1 double crochet or US single crochet stitch plus 2 chain. So you might want to put a little stitch marker in that first chain because that counts as a stitch, and that is where we'll be making our slip stitch into to close the round when we get to the end of the round. And so now it tells us to miss the next stitch and then work 1 double crochet US single crochet in the next stitch. So this is the stitch our 3 chain is coming out of. Miss the next stitch, which is this one, and in the next stitch along work 1 double crochet US single crochet. And now it says make 2 chain, 1, 2, and this time it says miss the next 2 stitches, so miss these 2 stitches, working 1 double crochet or US single crochet spike stitch in the treble from round 1. This one is the round 1, the blue one, directly below the second missed stitch. And so what that means is we're missing the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, but directly below the second missed stitch, so not this one, but the second missed stitch, we work 1 double crochet or US single crochet spike stitch in the treble directly below it. So this is the missed stitch, track down, and there into the same place it's crocheted into from round 1, into the same stitch, we insert our hook and just work a double crochet or US single crochet stitch as normal, except when you pull the hook through, you've pulled the yarn through, you then pull it up bring it up to the height of the round that you're working, and then just finish the single crochet, the US single crochet, the UK double crochet stitch as normal. And that is a double crochet or US single crochet spike stitch. You just work the stitch as normal, but going around below and then pulling up the loop to give it that height. And so now we make 2 chain and then miss the next stitch with working 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the next stitch. So be careful that you're definitely missing the right stitch. So here's the first stitch we missed previously. Here's the second one, which sits behind that spike stitch. Miss the next stitch along and then work 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the next stitch, like so. And now we've come to the end of some brackets, and it tells us to do that 2 times. So everything in the brackets we do 2 times. Go back to the beginning of the brackets, make 2 chain, and then it tells us to miss the next stitch, working 1 double crochet, US single crochet in the next stitch. And my next stitch to miss is actually the join from round 2 below, and sometimes it can be a bit unclear where to crochet into. I'm pulling it apart now to hopefully make you see it a little bit better. Here is the stitch I'm coming out of. Both these 2 little gaps there belong to that stitch, which was the 3 chain in round 2, and then the next stitch will be this one. So I've done my 2 chain, I'm missing the next stitch, and here working 1 double crochet, US single crochet in the next stitch. And this is now what the work should be looking like. And so if you look at the pattern, it now says repeat from star 3 times. So we go back to where the star is in the pattern and repeat everything from there 3 times in total. So it's 2 chain, miss the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, but beneath the second missed stitch, we work a double crochet or US single crochet spike stitch into the treble directly below this second missed stitch, the treble from round 1. So that's right there into the same place it's crocheted into. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through to the front just like you would with an ordinary double crochet, US single crochet, but pull up that loop to the height of the round and then complete the stitch as normal. And that's your second spike stitch, and now we're getting that real life boy effect. And so now we make 2 chain, miss the next stitch, and then work 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the next stitch. Just pay attention that you are missing the correct stitches. You can see here's the first stitch I missed previously, here's the second. So this is the next stitch to miss, and then 1 double crochet, US single crochet in the next stitch. And then we do that twice because that's in brackets. So 2 chain, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet, US single crochet into the next stitch. And now at the end of that first repeat, go back to the star and repeat that again all the way around. I'm just on my final repeat and I'm working my final double crochet, US single crochet spike stitch. So I've made 2 chain, missing the next 2 stitches, but working the double crochet, US single crochet spike stitch into the stitch below from round 1. Pull up that loop and finish the double crochet, US single crochet as normal. And it tells us that to end the final repeat at star star. So where you see the 2 stars in the pattern, we stop there, which is directly after we've made this final spike stitch. And then as we continue after that, it tells us to do 2 chain, miss the final stitch, which is this one here, and then work a slip stitch to the first chain of the beginning 3 chain. So miss the final stitch and then work a slip stitch into this first chain from the beginning of the round, and then that closes the round. And you can see there, by working those 4 spike stitches, we've created a little life buoy effect. So I fastened off yarn C, and at the end of round 3 we should have 12 2 chain spaces with the 4 spike stitches. So we can clearly see our 4 spike stitches, and then here are the 2 chain spaces that we made. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you so much for watching. The subsequent rounds are in a separate tutorial, all available on my YouTube channel.